तो मेरा मानना है कि अ, मुझे खुद को ही खत्म कर लेना बेस्ट है मेरे लिए, क्योंकि जो मैं पैसे कमा रहा हूँ उसी से मैं अपने दुश्मन को बलवान बना रहा हूँ। वही पैसे मुझे ही बर्बाद करने के लिए यूज हो रहे हैं, और ये साइकिल बढ़ता ही रहेगा, है ना? मेरे ही टैक्सेस के पैसे से ये कोर्ट, ये पुलिस सिस्टम मुझे और मेरी फैमिली को और बाकी लोगों को भी हैरास करेगा जो अच्छे लोग हैं।
This is a case that has shaken the entire nation of India. It has brought to light several aspects of the legal and the judicial system which need immediate reform, but it has also brought to light a lot of the societal conditions and the social dialogues that we have around marriage and divorce and all of these topics. So 34-year-old Atul Subhash committed suicide in Bangalore on the 9th of December. He has left behind an 80-minute video along with several pages in which he has described and he has detailed the constant harassment that he faced from his wife and his in-laws, and also the harassment and the unnecessary ordeals that he had to go through in the legal system. So according to the notes that he has left, we know several details about this now. Originally from Bihar, Atul was now working as an engineer in Bangalore. He got married in 2019 after meeting his wife on a matrimonial site. And the very next year, he had a son. And allegedly, his wife would demand 6 new saris and a gold set for literally every single festival. And throughout the years, he says that he had also given lakhs and lakhs of rupees to his in-laws, which they demanded. In 2021, he stopped giving money to the in-laws, and that is when the wife took their child and left the house. So obviously, when she left the house, Atul demanded divorce from her, and she in turn filed 9 cases against him, which also included one of dowry harassment. Unfortunately, this has been misused hundreds and thousands of times across India. The boys' families end up demanding exorbitant sums of money and gifts and cars and houses and whatnot. So coming back to Atul's case now, the wife filed 9 cases, which included dowry harassment as well, and she filed all these cases at a court in Jaunpur in Uttar Pradesh, even though none of them actually lived there. So Atul would have to travel all the way to Jaunpur like many a time, because obviously that is where his case would be heard. And in his note, he says that he had to come all the way to Jaunpur more than 50 times in these years. The wife also demanded 1 lakh for the maintenance of their 2.5-year-old son, apart from 1 lakh for her own self. And on top of that, she also demanded 1 crore rupees as alimony, which then, without any logical reasoning, she and her parents increased it to 3 crores. And needless to say, he was also estranged from his child. He was not allowed to meet his child in all these years. Unable to take all of this harassment, unable to take all of this abuse, unfortunately, Atul gave up his own life. This case really raises hundreds of questions. Obviously, women's safety is a huge issue and it should be dealt with. But the very laws and protections that have been made for the protection of women are now being misused by these women themselves against their husbands, innocent husbands in many cases. And these are the kind of end results that we are getting, where people end up losing their lives. And on the other side, when you have false cases like this, there is no sense of justice given out to the men. There is no provisions that are in place to protect men who are unfortunately being abused and are victims of false allegations. And this is not just with the dowry cases. It is, even if there is a gang rape incident like the incident that happened with Nirbhaya, and if by chance a woman also had been involved in the team, she would not be given the same punishment that the men would be given. Like, she would not have the charge of gang rape on her like the men would have. And yes, dowry harassment is a major issue in Indian society. According to the statistics, 8,500 females commit suicide every year because of the dowry harassments, because the husband and the in-laws have unending demands of money and gifts and valuables and gold or whatever the case may be. So yes, laws are required to protect these women, and this is the law that has been put into place. It is the IPC 498A. It is done for the protection of women against dowry harassment. But then again, it has no provision against the false allegations. Now, Atul's case happened 2-3 days ago, so now the entire world is talking about it, the entire country is talking about it. But there are hundreds of other cases that happen like these every day. And most of these men probably don't even speak out. Most of these men probably are just, silent victims of this kind of harassment and false allegations, and they end up keeping quiet, just to save their reputation and the reputation of their families. So in the legal system, where is the protection for them? There are so many cases. Like if you remember, there was the sub-inspector Harish, Sandeep Paswan, so many. And these are, as I said, the names that come into light. What about the men who are suffering in silence? If there is a protection for women against dowry harassment, there has to be a provision for men as well against false allegations. And unfortunately, this is the dichotomy that we see in today's society and today's social dialogue, where we automatically assume who the victim is and who the perpetrator is based on their gender, based on their race, based on their caste, or whatever the case may be. But that is not going to sustain us. It is going to become extremely unsustainable, extremely harmful for society. You cannot judge people and their victimhood, or if they are perpetrators, merely based on whether they are a man or a woman. The law should be equal for everyone. Doesn't matter whether you're a man or a woman. If you've committed a crime, you've committed a crime, period. And I really hope and pray that justice is meted out to Atul, that his wife and the in-laws are given perfect punishment. Now, talking about his wife and his in-laws, they are apparently now in hiding. They took off in the middle of the night on their scooty, and she's nowhere to be found now. If she was really in the right and she knew that she hadn't done anything wrong, wouldn't she be out here now, talking to people, telling them what the actual situation was? The very fact that she is in hiding and the entire family has gone into hiding, I think says a whole lot. And by the way, the wife, Nikita Singhania, was not somebody who was uneducated or who was, suffering from dire situation or anything like that. She was educated. She was in a very good job at a company called Accenture. It's a huge company. She was earning well. If all this was not disturbing enough, just listen to what Atul had to say about the abuse he faced in the courts. Apparently, the judge, Rita Kaushik, also joined the wife in laughing at him when, in one of the instances, he raised a remark about the number of false allegations that occur in the country, and that, men are driven to suicide because of all of this. And when he was speaking about this, his wife and his mother-in-law said that, well, why don't you commit suicide? And the judge actually joined them in laughing at him when this remark was made. And apart from that, he has also mentioned that there were several instances of bribe. He has mentioned that the judge explicitly asked for 5 lakh rupees. And she said that if he gave him 5 lakh rupees, she would finish and complete his case quickly, which he refused. And as I mentioned, he had 9 cases filed against him, most of which were then proven to be false. The court did not intervene when these unrealistic demands for money was made. The court did not intervene and cross-question when all these false allegations were coming to light. And one of the false allegations was that he had caused the death of his wife's father, which was later proof that actually he had died naturally of a long-term illness. There were cases against him on the grounds of unnatural sex, but there were no medical proofs or anything at all given. So yes, on one hand, we can continue to question the wife and the in-laws and the society, but where was the legal system in all of this? Why was there no proper intervention or cross-questioning of the wife, especially when these false allegations came to light? Why was there no question raised when the demand for 3 crore rupees was made as alimony by the wife? It's because the system is allowing the wife and the in-laws to continue with their harassment. They're joining hands in this abuse and this unnecessary harassment. Fine, if you want to take a divorce, fine, take a divorce and go live your life, no problem. But this? And Atul also details another incident where he went to the court to attend one of the hearings, and the mother in law, upon seeing him, asked him, "Oh, I'm surprised that you're still alive." And then she continued to say, "I'm just remembering from what I have read. So forgive me if I'm not quoting the exact words." And apparently, she then replied back saying, "Well, even if you die, we're going to continue extorting money from your parents because our daughter, your wife, has a right on your property, on your money. And when your parents die, then she has a right on their property and their money as well. So even if all of you die, we're going to keep taking money from all of you." This was what the mother in law allegedly told him. And I refuse to believe that the judge or the legal system or anybody did not know about all of this beforehand. So, who exactly does somebody like Atul turn to support for? Because he's been let down on multiple fronts. He's been let down by his wife, he's been let down by the in laws, he's been let down by society. I honestly think the wife and her entire family should be tried very fairly, justice should be meted out, and also there should be immediate reform in the legal and justice system. And more than anything, I think there should be a huge change in the way society itself asks these questions. Because if there is a change in society, if we change the way we ask questions, if we change the way we look at people, judge people, then there will automatically be a change in every other section as well. Don't forget to comment below that justice needs to be meted out as soon as possible. The more people talk about all these, the more changes will happen, the more faster these changes will happen.
तो मेरा मानना है कि मुझे खुद को ही खत्म कर लेना बेस्ट है मेरे लिए, क्योंकि जो मैं पैसे कमा रहा हूँ उसी से मैं अपने दुश्मन को बलवान बना रहा हूँ। वही पैसे मुझे ही बर्बाद करने के लिए यूज हो रहे हैं, और ये साइकिल बढ़ता ही रहेगा, है ना। मेरे ही टैक्सेस के पैसे से ये कोर्ट, ये पुलिस सिस्टम मुझे और मेरी फैमिली को और बाकी लोगों को भी हैरास करेगा, जो अच्छे लोग हैं। तो जो सप्लाई है वैल्यू का, उसी को खत्म कर देना चाहिए। और एनीवे गेव मी अ सजेशन क्या दे told me to commit suicide, and I think they're right. That's the right solution what they've suggested me. So I'm gonna take my life now. Also, मेरी कुछ आखिरी इच्छाएं भी बताना चाहूंगा मैं। तो मेरी कुछ आखिरी इच्छाएं जो हैं ये हैं, ज्यादा मुझे उम्मीद तो नहीं है, लेकिन अभी भी मैं अपनी वाइफ को बोलूंगा कि उसमें तो कोई वैल्यू नहीं है, मेरी वाइफ में खुद। तो मेरे बच्चे को क्या ही बड़ा करेगी वैल्यू के साथ। मेरे पेरेंट्स को मेरा बच्चा दे रहे, वो उसको बेटर वैल्यू के साथ बड़ा करेंगे। और आई थिंक शी शुड हैव डन इट विथ मी, शी शुड हैव गिवन द चाइल्ड टू मी, बट मुझे बच्चे से अलग रख के दुख पहुंचाने के लिए उसने किया है, जबकि उसे भी पता है वो बच्चे को रेज करने में अक्षम है। खुद ही बोली कि मैं बच्चे के पाल परवरिश के लिए पैसे भी नहीं है अगर तुम्हारे पास, तो हमें दे दो बच्चा, हमें मेरा आखिरी अंश है, मेरे माँ बाप को दे दो, वो बहुत नाजों से पालेंगे उसे। और मेरा भाई एक बहुत अच्छा आदमी है, वो भी पालेगा उसे, बट मुझे ज्यादा उम्मीद नहीं है इसकी। दूसरा है, और मैं अपने माँ बाप और भाई को बोलूंगा कि बिना किसी कैमरा के मेरी पत्नी या उसकी माँ या उसके किसी भी फैमिली मेंबर से बिना कैमरा पब्लिक प्लेस के ना मिले। आप पर रेप केस भी लगाया जा सकता है, कोई भी केस लगाया जा सकता है। तो बहुत ध्यान से अगर किसी भी बात के लिए मिले तो पब्लिक प्लेस पे मिले। बाकी और औरतें होनी चाहिए हमारी तरफ से जो टेस्टिफाई कर सके कि कुछ गलत नहीं हुआ है, कैमरा होना चाहिए, तभी मिले। दूसरा कि मेरी मेरे मरे हुए शरीर के आसपास मेरी पत्नी या उसका परिवार की तरफ से कोई नहीं आना चाहिए। तीसरा, मेरा अस्थि विसर्जन तब तक नहीं होना चाहिए जब तक मेरे हरासर्स को पनिशमेंट नहीं मिलता है, तो मेरा अस्थि विसर्जन ना हो। अगर इतने सारी चीजें, एविडेंस और सब कुछ होने के बाद भी अगर कोर्ट, ये जज और मेरे बाकी के हरासर्स को पनिशमेंट नहीं देती है और बरी कर देती है, तो मेरा जो अस्थि है वहीं कोर्ट के बाहर किसी गटर में बहा देना चाहिए, ताकि मैं ये जान जाऊं हमेशा हमेशा के लिए, मैं ये अपना लेसन सीखता रहूं कि इस देश में क्या वैल्यू है एक लाइफ की। तो ये एक है। और जुडिशियरी से मेरी एक दरख्वास्त है कि मेरे माँ बाप और भाई को इन फॉल्स केसेस में और हरास नहीं किया जाए, इसे खारिज किया जाए। और मेरे हरासर्स को और इस करप्ट जज को, और ये माधव का भी इन्वेस्टिगेशन होना चाहिए, है ना, ये भी लाखों रुपए कमाता है, तो जरूर पकड़ा पकड़ा जाएगा। बेसिक से कोई इन्वेस्टिगेशन करेगा तो कोई ना माधव पकड़ा जाएगा। उसके पास प्रॉपर्टीज होंगी, पैसा होगा, जज के पास प्रॉपर्टी पैसा होगा एक्स्ट्रा करप्शन का, तो पकड़े जरूर जाएंगे। अगर कोई कहता 50 रुपए तो ये हर कोई देता है, ये तो कोई ना कोई तो सामने आके बोलेगा कि 50 रुपए घूस लिया मैंने। तो ये तो सार्वजनिक बात है, अगर ये सब भी नहीं पकड़ पाते हैं तो फिर मेरी अस्थियां बहा दी जाएं गटर में, कोर्ट के बाहर। तो ये मेरी कुछ अंतिम इच्छाएं हैं। इसी के साथ मैं ये वीडियो बंद करता हूँ। अब जो थोड़े बहुत जो मेरे आखिरी काम है कंप्लीट करके मैं मुक्ति पाना चाहूंगा। इससे मैं मैं इस जज का कंप्लेंट सुप्रीम कोर्ट और हाई कोर्ट में भी मेल करने वाला हूँ। और मैं अपने माँ बाप भाई से अलग से उनसे बात करूंगा लिख कर। हो सके तो माफ करना, जिस उम्र में मुझे अपने मम्मी पापा का सहारा बनना था, उस उम्र में उन्हें हमेशा के लिए दुख देके जा रहा हूँ ऐसा। तो सॉरी। और बाकी आप लोग जो देख रहे हैं सब आपका कल्याण हो। थैंक यू।